The running back pool in fantasy this season is the most volatile we've seen in a pretty long time. There is a huge drop off in value in ADP and roster construction when you look at actually drafting your team. So it's only right that I solve all of your problems and go over the top 6 deep sleepers at the running back position that you can grab later in your drafts if you want to go hero RB or even 0 RB, so you can escape the running back dead zone that will lose you a league. Drop a like on this video real quick if you are a good person, and I promise you by the end of this video I will return your value of you sticking around the entire time. And while you're doing that, the first running back, Tyjae Spears, is a great value. His ADP is RB31 and he's going in the 9th round of fantasy football drafts. Statistically, running backs in round 8, 9, and 10 give you the highest return on value, and that's typically where you have the biggest breakouts. And everybody is worried about Tony Pollard being in this offense. They're actually being drafted right next to each other, pretty much the exact same ADP. But Tyjae Spears managed to finish as the RB35 behind one of the best running backs in the NFL in Derrick Henry, and that was while he started the season pretty slow. And now he gets to back up a way lower tier of running back in Tony Pollard, and he's going as the RB31. If he finishes the RB35 behind Derrick Henry, how can he not upgrade 4 spots when he's playing alongside Tony Pollard? And that's what I'm going to get into, because this team got a lot stronger outside of the running back position in the battle that they're going to have there. They have Calvin Ridley, they have DeAndre Hopkins still. The team is good. As long as Will Levis can actually put some things together, they're going to move the ball just a little bit. Are they going to be a playoff team and win a whole bunch of games? Probably not, but they're definitely going to be good enough to support fantasy football running backs. But outside of the team perspective, let's look more at the running back position and why Tyjae Spears is going to be the guy that you want in this backfield. Spears averaged 3 more targets per game than Tony Pollard did last season. Oh my goodness, that's such a cool stat. But Tony Pollard had 300 more snaps than Tyjae Spears did, and he was on one of, if not the best offense in the entire NFL in the Cowboys. They were top 5 in every single stat: passing, touchdowns, running, efficiency, everything. By the way, the Titans were almost last in every single category, and Spears still managed to out-target him. Now, does targets mean everything, and that's the only thing that's going to make him valuable? No, he's going to be on the field, though. And it shows that Pollard really was not able to make an impact. He was not able to command a target share. He wasn't getting open. He wasn't really efficient. He was just getting targets because he happened to be on the field so much. On the other hand, while Tyjae Spears wasn't on the field as much, he was earning those targets, and he still was up there with Tony Pollard despite the insane difference in time on field. And if you really want something to sell you on this, they replaced Tony Pollard with an aging Ezekiel Elliott in the offseason. That's all you really have to know. Is this backfield going to be split? Yes. Is Tony Pollard going to start as the main running back? It's possible, but in the long run, a 9th round ADP for Tyjae Spears is going to be an amazing pick, and he very well could be that one red zone guy, because let's be honest, Tony Pollard was very inefficient in the red zone when he was with the Cowboys. He could not score a touchdown to save his life. That's why they brought back other running backs, and they used Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn. So Tyjae Spears could very much get the red zone and receiving role, and Tony Pollard could be that in between the tackles, like 20-yard guy. It's a very good ADP to get him. I'd take him on my team 100% of the time. But if you are enjoying this video, go down and hit that subscribe button. It takes nothing out of your day, but it really does make mine, and you're getting great, insightful videos. But possibly the most controversial player that's going to be on this list, and really in any list you're going to hear in fantasy football, is Nick Chubb, and I'm fine with drafting him, and let me get into why. Yes, he's a 28-year-old running back coming off one of the most gruesome looking injuries I've ever seen on film in real time. By no means was that a light injury. It was pretty bad. But all of that makes him go as the RB46. What in the world are we doing? That's next to Jaleel McLaughlin. That's next to Marshawn Lloyd. I'm not even saying this in the fact that, oh yeah, he's going to play in week 3. He's going to play in week 1. I don't think he's going to play in the first half of the season. But even if he comes back and starts getting his full workload, or really does get his full workload into this offense back in week 10 after their bye week, he's still going to be a value at his ADP. I don't think people are understanding just how important late season games are for fantasy football. Like, we're really not drafting to win the first couple games. Obviously we want to, but the playoffs and the last couple games to get you there is really what matters. And obviously his ADP at running back 46 is gonna be low. It's baked into that number because he's not gonna give you value for the first couple weeks of the season. So we just can't be that high. It just wouldn't make sense. But why not take a running back that can absolutely win you the last few weeks in fantasy football, possibly even earlier than that, in the 12th round? This is the range where you get players to be your backup tight end, your kickers, your backup quarterbacks that you don't really need. And if he does end up being absolutely nothing, it's a 12th round ADP. You're giving absolutely nothing up for him. You can keep him on your IR slot all year and never have to worry about it. Like, it is such a good pick later in the season. Even if he doesn't turn out good, you're still not going to take any value loss from him. And if you want to play it really smart, you can hold him on your roster for a couple weeks until his hype starts coming back, when he's going to start playing football again. You can sell him high if you really don't think he's going to do good to your league mates that think he's going to do good because he's Nick Chubb and the name value's up there, and then trade him for a guy that you need on your team. Maybe you need a backup quarterback because yours got injured or something. If you prefer Jerome Ford and you don't want to go through all of that, it's perfectly fine. His ADP isn't too high. It is obviously higher. And believe it or not, keeping down this list of deep sleeper running backs, Blake Corum is a great guy as well. And when we look at drafting actual handcuff running backs, these are the kind of guys you want. I'm not all for drafting handcuffs. Like if you got Christian McCaffrey, you don't need to be drafting Elijah Mitchell. If you have Breece Hall, you don't really need to be drafting his backup just to have the backup. That's one of those situations where you figure it out on waivers because you don't need to waste a roster spot on a guy that gets 0 points every week. But when you come to the backfields with the Kyren Williams, with the James Connors, and the running backs that are handcuffs but can actually get you value in real football every single week, Tyjae Spears again, that's where you're going to get the most value, and that's when it's actually beneficial to take handcuffs. And do I think Kyren Williams is going to be 100% all season, that go-to running back, workhorse, get everything in the... No, I don't think he will be, but I do think he has a great chance. That's kind of what he's going to be in this offense for. But again, it's his job to lose. If he gets injured, if he's really inefficient, we've seen time and time again Sean McVay in this offense just completely cut out running backs when they have a couple inefficient games. We saw it with Cam Akers. Even Kyren Williams was in and out before he was Kyren Williams of last season. But Blake Corum is one of those running backs that's instantly going to have value in fantasy football the second he steps on the field. You're not going to have to wait 4 weeks for him to put up 4 fantasy points. His upside is insanely high for a guy we're getting in the 10th round as RB38. Let's take the scenario if Kyren Williams were to get injured. First of all, he is undersized for running back. I think he's like 185 pounds. You can't really statistically give running backs of that size a workhorse role because they are at such a higher rate of getting injured. It's just how it works. If you guys watch any of the Netflix series, you can get a deeper dive into just how many hits these running backs are taking. It's pretty tough on them, and that's why the guys like Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor can get these workhorse roles, because they're like 225 pounds. And it means a lot when you're getting hit by 300-pound linemen every game. I'm just saying. And I don't see why the Rams go out and put him in the workhorse role when he is so good and they need him for the playoffs and they need him to be healthy. Blake Corum will get a little bit of that role. We can see the same thing like we saw with Zach Charbonnet. He's going to start out with a couple receptions here. He's going to block a little bit here. He's going to get some running work. And then as the season goes on, you're going to see, wow, this guy's kind of efficient. He knows what he's doing. And he's just going to get more and more time on field. And it's going to lead to that. Now, is it going to be a 50-50 backfield? I can't say that. But I can say that the sports books have Blake Corum projected for 500 rushing yards this season. And if we know anything about sports books, they know way more than we do. So if they have Kyren for 950 and Corum for 500, it's going to be somewhat split. Like, he's going to get some kind of usage every single game. But the real value here, believe me, if Kyren Williams goes down for a week or two, Blake Corum is going to be one of those plug-and-play guys that will be a top 5 fantasy running back every single week. That's just how the offense runs, how their scheme runs, how they use running backs. Trust me, it's a great pick if you're looking for a late-round handcuff that won't cost you a lot. If you guys watched any of my videos last season, you remember I was on Rico Dowdle. I thought that he was going to have a good amount of value. And this year might be the actual year where he returns that. Let's put this into perspective. Out of every single NFL team in the league, all 32, there are only 3 teams that don't have a running back being drafted in the top 120 picks. Those 3 teams are the Chargers, the Browns, and the Cowboys. And if we look at these teams and dive a little bit deeper into it, okay, the Browns have Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford injured. Who's going to play? The offense isn't great, whatever. If we look at the Chargers, they really don't have much going for him. Gus Edwards, yeah, he's getting old, I guess. They drafted another running back. I guess this makes sense. But then you look at the Cowboys. They have one of the most efficient offenses in the NFL. Red zone, rushing efficiency, passing efficiency, just everything. They are a top 5 offense, and they really don't have a number 1 clear-cut running back now. They signed Ezekiel Elliott back, and then Rico Dowdle is the number 2. And even if you want to take Zeke, I'm fine with that. But you don't think one of these running backs can finish in the single-digit rounds of fantasy football? It just does not make any sense to me at all. And then the question becomes, are you going to take the 6-foot running back, 225 pounds, 4 years of experience, explosive, who averaged 4 yards a carry last season? Or are we going to take the aging Ezekiel Elliott that's 28 years old, has injury history, got taken off the team just to get put back on the team, has been decreasing in efficiency every single year. He went from 3.6 with the last year with the Cowboys to 3.4 last year. And then again, the running back age drop-off is 100,000% real. I know I talk about it a lot, but if we just look at the statistics behind it, since 2020, that's 4 years of data. Running backs in their age 27 compared to 28 season, they average 14.2 fantasy points a game at 27, and then when they get to 28, they average 11.8 fantasy points a game. That is 4 years of top running backs in the age 27 to 28 range of statistics and of data. It's just a given fact that running backs tend to drop off at age 28, and it's pretty obvious when we see Zeke play that he's not the Zeke that he was before. So because of that, Rico Dowdle is the guy that I want to buy in on. They kept him on the roster. He's a pretty decent running back. Ezekiel Elliott might get some goal line work, but I think Rico can get everything else in between there. If you think Zeke's going to be the better running back, by all means, take one of them. One of them is going to return value, if not both. I think Rico will be that guy, though. And another guy that I'm a little bit interested in that you'll never hear anybody talk about is Devin Singletary. And wait. Before you click off this video, give me a second. Let me talk about it. And if you are going to click off this video, subscribe on your way out. It takes 2 seconds. Let me chill. The Giants, I understand they're not a great team. they're pretty much trash. They have Daniel Jones coming off an ACL injury. They lost Saquon Barkley. They lost Darren Waller. They don't have anybody outside of Malik Neighbors. But Devin Singletary will be the RB1. Yes, they did sign Tyrone Tracy Jr. in the offseason in the draft. I understand that. And he's an even deeper sleeper if you guys play Dynasty or you're in like a 32-person league. Tracy's a fine option. But you can get away with the waivers in week 6 if you want to do that. But Singletary by no means is no way washed up. He's only 26 years old. He's had pretty good, healthy seasons, and that's what I'm about to get into. If you look at his stats, he has only missed 1 game of football in 4 years. That is 1 game missed in 68 NFL games as the running back on its own. That is insane. He's the most experienced running back on this team. He's going to start as a workhorse running back. Maybe later down the line of the season, he'll start splitting with Tyrone Tracy. That's a worry for another day, though. We're talking about instant value, and maybe you can even flip him. Either way, there's no way that he loses 60% of his value. He's going to be that #1 running back the entire way of the season. And obviously, we have the absence of Saquon, so there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. And if we know Daniel Jones, he doesn't really throw the ball that well, so he's going to need to check the ball down and just get the ball out of his hands. He does run a little bit, but that Saquon Barkley role is in the Giants' blood. It's just they need somebody to fill that in. He's a great receiving back as well, and he is built for a workhorse role. In college, he averaged 22 carries a game. In the NFL, he's managed to stay healthy. By no means is this a great offense. I'm not trying to sell you on it, but the sportsbooks have Devin Singletary projected for 745 yards on the year. He's gonna get some kind of work. Maybe the touchdown number will be a little bit low because the Giants aren't great, but if you're looking for a guy in the 12th, 11th round, Devin Singletary is a fine RB1. You can flip him if you want to. But the Bengals backfield has every single human going insane. And this is because they got rid of Joe Mixon. I'm sure all of you guys know that already, but for the new people, if you don't, Joe Mixon is gone. Now they have Chase Brown and Zach Moss as the only 2 running backs in this backfield. And if you look at the ADPs, Chase Brown is going as the RB37. Zach Moss, RB27. That is a massive difference for a backfield that really isn't complete yet. Zach Moss is going to open as the RB1, at least now before OTAs start. And realistically, you're going to want to buy in on one of these running backs. Now, I think RB27 is a little bit too rich for Zach Moss for the risk that he does carry. He did have a couple amazing games with the Colts, but it was a pretty small sample size as far as like great games go, and we're hyping him up like he's some amazing running back that's going to be the best fantasy football guy, receiving, running back, red zone role. I don't think so. A lot of the times, a small sample size of really good usage and numbers for running backs specifically is such a catfish, and it doesn't actually carry over to the rest of their career. If you look at his stats, that's kind of true. Yes, he's a great running back. He's in the NFL. He's going to be pretty good, but by no means do I think he's as amazing as everybody is hyping him up to be. I'm not taking him over Swift. I'm not taking him over Ramondre Stevenson, and those are all the running backs he's being drafted next to. I think 27 is way too high. And the Bengals have always had a third down running back that gets a good amount of usage on third downs in the receiving role. I mean, we look at Samaje Perine. He was draftable and startable in fantasy football. Gio Bernard, if you remember that. So Chase Brown is pretty much guaranteed to have some kind of role the second the season starts, whether that's a receiving role or not. This backfield will probably open up the season at a 70-30% split. I do think Brown is going to be the guy you want, especially at his ADP. It's a great offense. They're going to score a lot with Joe Burrow healthy, presumably for the whole season. We can't predict that, but he will be. Brown is coming into his second season in the NFL. He's only 24, 211 pounds, perfectly fine to get a good amount of work. But that is going to finish off this video. Let me know what you guys think about these sleepers if you're going to draft them or if you have other guys in your list. I'll meet you guys in the comments, and I appreciate you guys hanging out in this video all the way through. You guys mean a ton. I'll see you guys in the next one.